Hey folks, it's that time. You've been waiting for it. It's time for Out with the Old and In with the New. Woohoo! Wee! Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is an actual graphics card. I will swear to you that it's a graphics card, as you will see here shortly. I had a good time trying to get this sucker, but in any case, you watch what's going on here. There's It's a swap out of the card, pure and simple. Uninstall the driver just to be on the safe side. I didn't want to have any other problems, just in case there was some problem. It wound up being, I think, essentially the same driver. I think that has the same driver for pretty much all their cards. But I uninstalled it anyway, removed the card, which obviously came out fairly easily. Putting the new card in, well, whenever you unwrap something, you've got to do all this peel. All this plastic has to be peeled off. You got plastic on the back, pulled off. Now you got plastic around the fans. You've got plastic everywhere. It's just amazing to me how much plastic is on this thing. So anyway, just peel away as much as you can. Nice heavy backplate on this thing, also covered in plastic peel. So there you go. Card went in pretty much smooth. It would help if I could not fumble and maybe drop a screw once in a while and get that sucker in there. So that was okay. The Other than that, nope, software installation was fine and we had no problems. So next up, we're going to run a few benchmarks and see what happens with this sucker. So stick around and see what we got. Okay? All righty. So, benchmarks are one thing, but how does the thing do in gaming? Well, we're going to start off with Fortnite. This is on the 1650. As you can see, it's doing fine, but Fortnite runs on pretty much anything, so it's not much of a challenge. Still, 113 roughly frames per second, not too bad. Everything works fine there, so that's not a problem. And obviously, here we are on the 3060. Again, not much of a challenge here at all. Got, fluctuating a bit, but a little bit more frames per second. Not a big change, but then again, as I said, Fortnite runs on practically anything. So let's move on to something maybe a little bit more challenging. Okay, so now World of Warships. This again on the 1650. You'll notice that the frame rate seems to be a lot higher than what the default is. You can change the frame rate in this game if you know the configuration file to deal with. In this particular case, I purposely set the max frame rate at 200, and as you can see, the 1650 can't quite do the 200. You'll also notice that the GPU usage is pretty much nailed, so it can do it, but it's apparently struggling with it, at least as far as the graphics part is concerned. But let's take a look at the 3060 and see what we got. And of course, World of Warships on the 3060 easily makes it to the 200 frames per second. But notice how much less the GPU is struggling. I'm barely hitting 50%. So that's obviously a major improvement on the previous iteration. Overall, very nicely done. It seems to hold up. In fact, we get just a little bit over 200. So I could probably crank this frame rate up 250, 300, and probably would still not see full GPU usage on it. And as you can see for Shadow of the Tomb Raider here on the 1650, average frames per second 76. So that's not terribly shabby, but you know it's not the greatest. So let's see what we got with the 3060. And as you can see from here, we've made a marked improvement, 133 frames per second. And our GPU bound went from 100% to, well, 97%. So almost hitting the limit, but not quite. So there we go. All right, we keep moving along. And now on to the Division 2 on the 1650. And as you can see here, it's not doing terribly bad. You know, 4 GB card, I would say that's not too bad, 72. Now it's going to drop here as we move along, but overall I would say it's doing pretty well. Nothing really to complain about there. I did find out one interesting thing about the Division 2. If your monitor does not have a refresh rate higher than whatever, X60 or 75 or whatever, that's the most frames per second. It's locked itself to whatever the refresh of your monitor is. So when I first ran this thing, I was into the record port on the video card that was locked at 1080 at 60 hertz. And I could not get either of the cards to go above 60. So once I realized I needed to put it into the other port, which will do a 240 refresh rate, then I reran the test. Then this is what we got for this one. So let's go take a look and see what the 3060 can do. And as you can see with the 3060, we start out at a very high frame rate. Everything's working just fine. It will eventually drop here like the other one. But overall, I'd say we have a marked improvement. We hit a peak of, I think it was about 140, and it's dropped a little, it's dropped more there. So we've got roughly, let's see, we were at roughly 72. And it looks like we're going to wind up probably being somewhere in the 120-ish range. So that's a pretty good improvement. I'm very happy with that result. What's very, very nicely done on that one, I think. And here we go, folks. Cyberpunk 2077. The most I could manage to get out of this particular game was about 45 on the 1650 Super. It would sometimes drop down to 36, but yeah, 40, 45 is about where it seemed to want to stay. So I guess overall, like, that's not too terribly bad, but I think we can do a little bit better with the 3060. Let's take a look. Okay, there we go. Now this is about the best I could manage with the 3060. Yeah, it's not quite 100 frames per second. It's but it's certainly better. Getting peaks of around 78, 75, lows in the high 60s. So overall, I would say probably not bad. I think it's a definite improvement. I'm very, very happy with this particular setup. It looks very nice. Okay, so after all of this, was it worth it? Well, overall, I think so. Would I have paid as much as I did for this card under normal circumstances? If everything was in stock, we didn't have this nutso stuff that we got going on. No, I would have preferred to have had a basic 3060 graphics card, which MSRP was around 330, 340, but that wasn't going to happen. So I figured, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to set a limit of $500. I came pretty close. The only other thing that I can think of right now is that I know that I don't want to spend, I'm not spending thousands of dollars. I don't game enough to justify that. So when the opportunity came around through something called the Newegg Shuffle. Now the Newegg Shuffle is an interesting beast. It's kind of like a lottery system, if you will. And the lottery system is that it usually have a set of cards and other stuff, processors, etc., that they put up. And I'll give you an example here. I'll show you part of it right now. Here's the Newegg Shuffle. So basically what you've got is they have one usually during the week, Monday through Friday, not always, but usually. It's usually the same time frame. And what you see here, at least this the last one that was on Friday, you had several different options for cards and processors and a few other things here. Now, the interesting part about it is that a lot of times you're not going to find just the card. For some reason, Newegg is doing bundle stuff. So, for example, this first one right here, here's the 3060 card, but it's bundled with a motherboard. So, and there's another one. They're both bundled with motherboards for reasons I can't quite fathom why they're doing this. I mean, maybe they're trying to do this to get the scalpers to back off. I don't know. But again, if you go under the detail, there's the card right there. So that's what the card costs. But since they're bundling it with something else, you're going to pay this kind of price. I was not willing to do that. I waited and I waited. This thing they implemented probably sometime in February. And when they got around to getting the graphics card stuff online, they did initially have a couple of 3060s at MSRP, 329, 339, whatever it was. But that didn't last very long. So at some point, what came along was that I had to figure out, well, what am I going to do? Everybody wants a graphics card. My 1650 Super, although it's serviceable, is just not going to be viable as we get further and further along. So I knew that I was going to need something. So as an opportunity came along through the Newegg Shuffle for a graphics card that was a 3-fan version, the 12 gigabyte memory, and they wanted 519. Now, if you look at the NVIDIA website, they have their original version of this card, which I will show you here in a second. There's the original version of the card. So the MSRP for this particular card is $749. Well, my card was about $40 more expensive. I considered that to be worth that. So that's how I picked this up. Now, again, the Newegg Shuffle, it's usually Monday through Friday, and there'll be a list, and you just have to keep plugging at it. I got my 5600X, I got the same way through the Newegg Shuffle. That was back in February. So it's possible you can get them, but you have to be very, very patient. They implemented the Shuffle, I want to say, probably sometime in February. I want to say maybe mid-February. I don't know. Somewhere around the time or shortly before the actual release of the 3060s. So I've been plugging away at that. The 5600X I got within like a week or two of the time frame where the 3060s were released. So that was one. That was the one I got. Now it took me another, let's see, February, towards the end of February, and I just got the card this past Tuesday. I actually got it through the Shuffle that was on the previous Friday, not last Friday, but the Friday before. And they sent it UPS 3-day. They did charge for shipping, so that's one little caveat. So it did cost me a little bit more over the cost of the card. But that was, let's see, a week. So that's 16th or 17th. So it took me roughly 2 months of just plugging at it, checking it as often as I can. If you do go into the Shuffle and you do check off something and you enter the Shuffle, you're not absolutely obligated to buy it. if you just, if you want to take a chance on it and go, well, just for the heck of it, let me try this. If you actually manage to win the shuffle, you're not necessarily obligated to buy it. If you want to, you can, pass it up and they'll move on to somebody else. But this at this point is the only way, at least here in the U.S., which is where I'm at, that I had any hope whatsoever of getting a 30 series graphics card. If you sign up for the thing, or if you throw your hat into the ring, you have the option to get text alerts as to when the next shuffle is happening. They will sometimes switch the time frame of the day, and I have seen at least one instance where there was a shuffle that was on a Saturday. But other than that, like I said, took 2 months to be patient, to find something that was a graphics card only and not a combo, because I don't need anything else. And that's how I managed to get it. Just pure dumb luck and luck of the draw, as it were. So that's the story. Anyway, now you know what's going on. Now you've seen the results of the swapping out of the card. Hopefully, this card will at least last me more than, let's see, the previous one I had about 18 months. So, if I get 2 to 3 years, 4 years out of the card down the line, I'll be happy. Anyway, that's it for me, folks. Have a good day, and hopefully we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.